What is up, YouTube? This is Dave Croft. Welcome to another quick tip for working composers. And this is a tip that I saw being implemented in a video on YouTube here from a YouTuber named Henson. I say YouTuber. He's a working composer and a co-founder of Spitfire Audio, the sample makers. And in one of his videos somewhere, and unfortunately, I can't remember which video it was. It was kind of buried as a little tip in the middle of a whole other episode. But I will have a link to Christian's YouTube channel in our show notes or description below. But he talked about a way to MIDI, using one MIDI sound to create a wider stereo image, or essentially doubling, that I thought was super helpful, and I use it all the time, and I wanted to pass it along here and demonstrate how it's kind of put together. Now, doubling is used all the time when recording live audio to get a nice wide stereo sound from instruments like guitar or like dulcimer works really well to it. I think he was using a charango, but any kind of plucked short sound really responds well to stereo doubling. So you see it all the time, especially in guitar. And the concept is, if you're recording, is to record one pass of a guitar, usually with a mono mic, but you can also use a stereo mic, and pan it one way to the left, and then record a whole separate take and pan it to the right. The end result is you get a nice wide stereo sound, and the performance of each take is very subtly different. But that becomes difficult when you're dealing with MIDI, because the MIDI is the same across multiple instruments. Like if I were to just take this, I have a guitar patch here, and let me play a little bit of it. So if I was to take this guitar sound and just double it and stereo split it, it would sound okay, but not really the idea we're going for as far as a separate performance. Now, what I could do is I could record this performance a second time, which is totally doable and absolutely worth exploring if that's something that you want to get into. That takes a little bit too much time for me, so I'm always on the lookout for quick and easy ways to do this. So I have a guitar patch here, and this is from 8DO, their natural guitar library, which is fantastic. And MIDI library, or MIDI guitar, is pretty sketchy to begin with. You have to be super careful. I have one publisher who, it says in their contract, no MIDI guitar, like in all caps. I am contractually obligated not to use MIDI guitar. This was a cue that I wrote for not that publisher, but a different publisher. And so it sounds good on its own. Sounds pretty good. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I can double this, okay, and I can copy that, and so I have two exact same guitar, and I can put one left and one right, and that sounds okay, but it's a little phasey. I don't know, it's a little phasey. So what I want to do is I actually want to leverage some of the other samples from my acoustic guitar library, which means I need to pull from a different note set, which is going to give me an actual different performance. Same MIDI performance, but different notes. So I've got my duplicate here. So I'm going to call this left. I'm going to call this right. Okay. And let me go ahead and pull up the right library here. We'll kind of put them side by side. Now, the trick is to pitch one of these libraries down or up, and I'll kind of do it either way. So I have both my libraries here, and you can see they're pulling. Got my little pencil here. That C sharp is the first note. They're kind of pulling from this same library sets, pulling from the same set of samples from within the library, audio samples. So I need to pitch one of these down. Now, if I just leave it like this, then it sounds like this, which sounds like garbage. The trick is, and the secret is to use the transpose feature. Now I'm in Logic here, but any DAW is going to be able to do this. And I am going to offset the pitch here. I'm going to offset this tuning by transposing in the opposite direction. And so you get now let me go back to 0 0. Let me re-transpose it. It's subtle, but there's less of the phasiness going on. And if we highlight where these pitches are coming from, that's the opening note is the C sharp here. We can see the opening note here is an F. So it's actually pulling different samples. It's pulling a recording of this F being played, or it's probably the E that's just kind of stretched up. Okay, let's see how it sounds if we go the other way. So I'm going to pitch this up by 4 and offset this down by 4, and you'll notice that instead of being pulled from the F, by the way, these are semitones. So 1, 2, 3, it should be pulling from this A. So this C sharp, that's my original. Yep, so you can see now I'm pulling from the A. It's a little thicker sound, which might be what you're going for. Let's try just 2 and 2 and see how that sounds. Oops. Here we go. That sounds okay. As I was experimenting with this, I found that -4 tune, +4 transpose. So I'm actually pulling from a higher set of samples and pitching them down. Oh, I did the wrong one there. It might help if I transpose the correct one. Because you have to go far enough away so that you're actually pulling from a different set of samples. So if I just went up or down by 1, I'm probably not using a different set of samples, considering how sample libraries, it would record one string and kind of pitch it up and down 1 or 2 semitones. Let's be really extreme. Let's do an octave here. And so I went down an octave in pitch. I'm going to transpose an octave. Sounds a lot kind of pluckier because I'm using higher samples, but stretching them down. Yeah, not a fan of that. Let's try the opposite way here. So we'll go up by 12. Yeah, and this kind of illustrates part of an issue. We're now pulling in parts of the samples which are too low, which are beyond the because of the way this library is set up. So lots of different ways to experiment with this. What was that? That was -4, right? But I have found, like I said, that this is a fantastic technique, usually between 3 or 4 semitones. I tend not to go much beyond that, but it's just an easy way to create stereo doubling with the same library, the same MIDI performance, and getting a ton of mileage. Again, huge shout out and special thanks to Christian Henson for everything that he puts out, and I've learned so much just watching his channel. Super inspiring and just well-made videos. Again, I'll have links to his channel in the description below. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions, feedback, or thoughts, leave some comments below. And as always, all of the usual YouTube stuff, subscribe. And if you want notifications, let me know, or just hit the bell. I guess you can let me know as well. Thanks.